Yo, here are 50 more tips for Rivals of Aether 2. 3 new characters have joined the roster since the last video, and there's been tons of new tech discoveries, like doing triple jumps with Absa, teleporting through the stage with Olympia, and being an absolute menace to everybody with Etalus. And there's tons of other tips for the rest of the cast that didn't quite make the cut in the last video. So I can practically guarantee you will learn something new. Starting off with Absa.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
So Absa's forward air, back air, and down air all have incredibly strong sweet spot hitboxes at the end of her legs. These of course do a lot more knockback, but also have a unique property with her clouds. If you hit the sweet spot on one of her clouds, it will explode the cloud and extend that sweet spot hitbox to the entire cloud explosion hitbox. After performing her up special, normally Absa goes into special fall. However, if she is grounded or touching a platform during the start of the direction, then she will not go into special fall. Which means on stages like Hodojo with platforms, you can use these platforms to chase down opponents and continue combos with her up special. Similar to Ness and Smash, Absa has double jump cancels. In short, a double jump cancel means that you can cancel your upward momentum from a double jump by letting go of the jump button and inputting an aerial. I'm sure most of you know that Absa's special pummel applies a lightning effect that causes any clouds to stick to opponents. But did you know she can also stick clouds to herself? If you do her special get up attack near a cloud, it'll attach it to herself, giving you an easier access to the fully charged down B since it'll just be on the cloud, or being able to do a neutral special on top of yourself. But do be careful, if your opponent is Absa, she will get the cloud sweet spots by hitting the cloud. If you want to get a special get up easier, you can actually double jump cancel using your taunt button. And it's pretty easy to do, you just press the taunt button right after starting a double jump, and you are right on the floor basically immediately. And lastly is the gravity jump, which, no exaggeration, is the most important tech with high level Absa. So here's what it looks like. Specifically, this middle jump that sent me downward was the gravity jump. Basically, if you start a double jump midair and immediately press down to fast fall, you can stop the double jump and instead get that momentum sent in the opposite direction. But you might be wondering, how is this any better than a normal double jump cancel? Well, first of all, you don't have to do an attack. You can just cancel the double jump with no input. But far more importantly, you can do another jump afterward. If you're an Absa main, you have to learn this tech.
We're the wretch.
By pressing attack and special inside her crystal field, Olympia can dash to the center of the crystal. Now this alone is incredible, but when used off stage, you can make for some tricky recovery mix-ups. Another cool trick with the gem dash is using it to travel through the terrain of the stage. The craziest example being on Air Armada, where if the crystal is just barely above the floor, you can teleport through the entire stage. New to Rivals 2, Olympia's side special is now a command grab, but even better, it does not only just grab opponents, but you can grab your own gem. One of the coolest uses of this is being able to throw it off stage as a downward offstage projectile for edge guarding. Olympia's down special can of course be cancelled in any horizontal direction for extra movement and recovery. But new to Rivals 2, you can additionally cancel down special into a normal attack by pressing A during the startup. This last tip is pretty small, but Olympia's back air is the only aerial in the game that turns you around when you perform it, letting her turn around mid-air with back airs. If you land down special or neutral special on the opponent's shield, you can apply a frozen shield debuff. This causes the shield to no longer regen health over time. This should allow Etalus to get shield breaks a lot more reliably. Etalus up special has a unique property where if you do up special, then land in up air, you can do up special a second time. This is especially useful on a stage like Harbor, where you can shark an opponent with up air after your up B, and then up B a second time to either edge guard or recover back to the stage. Etalus down throw is normally not a kill throw, but if you have ice armor active, his down throw becomes significantly stronger, turning it into one of the best kill throws in the entire game. Speaking of the ice armor, not only does it apply to his 3 strong attacks, letting him armor through moves, but it also applies to his get up special, which likewise can be charged just like his strong attacks. And if you happen to be playing against a Crag with Etalus, your special pummel becomes significantly stronger. Against most opponents, when they land, they can shield to block the special pummel. But when Crag uses his up special, which summons a pillar below him, he does not have enough time to shield, making it a very strong option in this matchup. Now, that's about it for the new characters. For the last 35 tips, we're going back to the original cast. When you miss an arrow shot with Fleet, she leaves behind the arrow on the ground for a few seconds. More importantly, if you use a wind charged arrow, these arrows can be regained by running over them to refill your resource meter. And if you're fighting against Fleet, you can run over them yourself to prevent her from picking it back up. A very unique interaction using that same mechanic is that if you walk over the arrow while invisible in Forsburn's smoke, the arrow will still visibly break, revealing to the opponent your location. Experienced fleets already know this, but if you want to start your float midair without consuming your double jump, you simply need to press down and jump at the same time, starting the float but allowing you to double jump afterward. A useful Forsburn tip that didn't quite make the last video is that by using your fully charged neutral special, which creates a large cloud of smoke, you will also restore Forsburn's double jump. Normally, his special pummel creates clouds of smoke in the trajectory of the thrown opponent. However, if you already have full charges of smoke consumed, the smoke will immediately dissipate when spawned. But there is a little bit of time before the smoke actually disappears, which means you can teleport into it, allowing for some crazy setups such as teleporting into smoke into combust, which normally is not possible. When you spawn Forsburn's clone, you can press special a second time to toggle between two different modes. One mode, the clone chases the opponent, and in the other mode, the clone will run away from the opponent, allowing you to mix up which is the clone and which is the real player. To take it one step further, if you're using the super clone, which requires 3 stacks of smoke, you can control when this clone attacks. You can't guarantee the direction of the attack, but by pressing special, you can guarantee a attack from the clone at that time. A cool little thing you can do with Crag is that you can actually use his taunt to break the rock. This will actually send the shards downward as a somewhat useful edgeguard tactic. By pressing back during the start of Maple's side special, you will actually do a backwards version of side special that will send the opponent towards you. When fighting Crag as Maple, if you're ever for some reason on top of his pillar in a knockdown situation, do not use special getup. At higher levels, Lily will oftentimes just get instantly parried. What you can do instead as a Maple player is if you see an opponent running up to Lily, you can throw a seed at Lily to stop her from attacking temporarily, to bait out a parry and then attack afterward. And to take it even one step further, you can actually use Maple's taunt. Likewise, also deactivate Lily's hitbox, and for example in this clip, you can bait out a Claren down special with a tactical taunt. Claren's down special actually restores her double jump on a successful counter, which is super useful for a recovery mix-up against characters like Etalus and Loxodont. Pretty much everybody already knows Claren can angle her neutral special mid-air, which got me thinking, can you angle her fully charged neutral special mid-air? And first, I need to even get a fully charged neutral special mid-air, which is not possible in almost every situation. However, there is one situation where it's possible, which is the moving platform on Jules Vale. That being said, sadly, it cannot be angled. This isn't even really a tip, but something cool that I wanted to show in this video, but Rivals of Aether actually has slopes. Now, this is the only spot in the game that has a slope, but it may be a teaser for a future stage or story mode. When Rano uses his side special tongue on a bubble, it will pop the bubble, which is actually super useful in the Rano Ditto, as you can use your side special to pop opponents' bubbles when they're trying to use it to recover. Speaking of Rano's bubble, after hitting an opponent, while they're in hit stun, you can activate your down B again to move the bubble into them instead of hitting them into the bubble. By holding shield at the same time as down special, you get the 0 charge down special even if you have full magma charges. It will consume 1 level of magma, but it's actually a very interesting recovery mix-up against opponents who do not expect it. Another very niche and weird property with Loxodont is his neutral special. Basically, the more you hit the meatball, it will slowly build up damage when it hits the opponent. Raster's special getup is pretty bad, but what I didn't know for a long time until recently is that you can actually extend the duration of it by holding the special button, which doesn't even make it that much better. It's still pretty useless. A pretty cool and somewhat useful trick is that Rano can bounce his needles off of his bubbles. Given the right positioning, you can get a straight downward needle, which could actually interrupt some recoveries. Much like regular grabs, if you throw the opponent, you cannot re-grab them before they land unless you do a pummel, and that also applies to Raster's down B grab. You need to land a pummel before you can grab them with a down B. Unlike most characters, Raster's dash attack is not stopped at the edge of stages, which can be used with a fastfall to hit opponents way below the ledge. Now this next tip is not character specific, but something that I just learned recently, which is that if you press grab while on the ledge, you will drop from the ledge. I forgot to put this in the Olympia section, but as a bonus for Olympia players, if for some reason there's a Crag pillar at the same height as the stage, then Olympia's getup special will in fact extend to Crag's pillar. Crag can actually throw his rock through the floor of Harbor. just make sure you throw the rock right as you're about to land on the stage from midair, and it completely phases through the wood. Another jank stage collision tip is that Rano's bubble can actually phase through Air Armada. It is actually a very precise trick to do, and is not useful at all, but kind of cool nonetheless. Now here's a tip for Loxodont, well actually a tip for fighting Loxodont. Loxodont's forward throw can actually be DI'd during the throw animation. So with no DI, you get sent significantly further, but if you DI out during the animation, you can avoid the sweet spot and live longer. Fleek's special getup will throw food at the opponent, and as long as it actually hits an opponent, it will drop the food on the ground, which can be picked up to heal 2%. However, this can also activate on things like Olympia's Gem, Crag's Rock, and even Rano's Bubble, which can give you a lot of ways to farm free food if your opponent's not even near you. Absa's special ledge attack spawns a cloud that travels across the stage on loop. However, if you block the path of the cloud with Crag's Rock, you stop it from moving entirely, even if the rock is removed. And if you want to stop Absa's clouds as other characters, all you need to do is grab Absa. And even an Etalus up air once you grab Absa will despawn all clouds. And lastly, if you attach Poppy to Forge Burn, you can see him in the smoke. And even better yet, you can see him teleporting between smoke, which completely gives away his location. And tip 51, Dan, please add Hodon.